Good afternoon, gamers, and welcome to the very first episode of Paint and Talk with Dave, a new segment here on the Games with Dave channel geared more towards casual conversation and having fun painting either terrain or minis while we talk. And today I am very excited to be joined by Stefan Pokorny, the man behind Dwarven Forge Miniature Terrain. And today we're both going to be painting the awesome sculpt that he did right here, this wonderful piece, the Forsaken Dais, and it's so cool. Welcome to the show, Stefan. I'm so excited to talk to you and paint today.
Hello, Dave. Wonderful. Thank you for inviting me. This is going to be fun and maybe a little interesting. I painted this original prototype like, I don't know how many years ago, a long time ago. It was one of the last original prototypes I painted myself. And so I don't really remember, but luckily I have one here.
Well, it's like we were saying before, if we get to running too long, we can always swap them out and it'll be like the cooking show, like you said, of like, here's the completed dinner.
Yeah, 5 minutes later, I'm like, oh, and here it is. But yeah, these are yeah, and I noticed, you gotta be careful. There's one side has gems. I don't know if you can see it.
I don't know if mine will pick them up either.
Has gems, but the other side doesn't. So you wanna make sure that the ones with the gems, the red gems, are the side facing the players when you fit this in. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got that cool little notch in there as well.
You don't want to paint over the gem. So I'm just going to try to be careful and not do it. Some people like use tape or something to cover it. I don't know. There are a few gems in there. There's some gems down here too, and here and here and here, and even on the side, here and here.
Yeah, when I grabbed this piece, I didn't even realize the gems were on there. And like I told you, I thought I was seeing things because I kept seeing the reflection from the gems on there. We got our first chat. Brian Shutter from Neon Lords RPG says, yo, yo, yo. What's up, buddy? How are you? Thanks for joining us today. So yeah, I guess we can paint, and I'll do my best to not get too distracted and be super quiet.
Now, I'm not seeing anyone in the chat. How come I'm not seeing any? Oh, I got to go to comments. Okay, now I see. Yep. Yeah. Yo, yo, yo. All right. All right.
So your first game, was it D&D that you played, or was it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. My first game.
You've been a lifer.
Yeah. Back in the, I would say, the late 70s. At summer camp. I was a sleepaway summer camp, like a 3-month camp, Camp Mackinac in Massachusetts. And so we lived in bunks, different bunks, and we did things like archery, and we even had riflery. Can you imagine with real bullets in a riflery?
Oh, jeez.
That was my favorite one, riflery. Yeah. But also archery. Archery was one of my favorites, and we had an archery counselor. God, what was his name? Doug, the archery counselor, and he. Hey, Casper Kenobi. Archery
What's up,
counselor.
Casper?
He was part of the Judges Guild.
Nice.
I remember that, and it was the first time. I was reading Lord of the Rings, and they're like, oh, we're gonna do, Doug's gonna play this crazy game. If you want to play, Stefan, I was like, yeah, oh my God, elves and dwarves, and yeah, and it was great. So that was my first, and he just sat with the book on his lap, and he was very, it was a killer dungeon master. We kept dying, like every game we would die, rolled up new characters, But it was fun. We got to experience so many different characters because we kept dying. Then eventually I got back a little older, and when the books came out, I went to the Complete Strategist in New York City, and I got the AD&D books, and that's when I started going designing my own world and my own thing. I never really used modules. I always just I read in the Dungeon Master Guide, Gary Gygax said you should make your own world, and I was all into that because I was full of creativity, and I didn't have money to buy modules, so I was like I did my own, and I don't like reading all that complicated pages and pages of stuff. I didn't like that, so I just made my own stuff up. And do I have one? Do I have a book here somewhere? This one. What do I have? Well, maybe later I'll try to find a book of some of my dungeons. But we should start. I should start painting. Geez, I'm supposed to paint, right? So
yeah, I've got a little bit going.
Oh, you're ahead of me now. You're beating me.
I need the lead because you're going to smoke me, and it's probably going to look so much cooler than my paint job. I've been racking my brain all day trying to think of the colors I wanted to go with, and I'm just going with like a dungeon gray. So,
well, I'm gonna do a plug here for my own paint line because I have the Pokorny paints. See?
I saw those when I was grabbing this piece.
This one, for instance, is the olive dry brush, which I'm going to try on this. You see, it's already the color that you need to dry brush the piece. See, so I have an edge. And I also have the Pokorny paintbrushes made with pony hair.
That's cool.
Natural hair. So if you don't have them, folks, these are great. Look at how big they are. This is what you normally get. This is the size you normally get, right? Look at that. Look at what you get for
a big old bottle.
Yeah, this is what you need when you're painting big areas of terrain. Pokorny paints, the best deal on the market.
I am going to have to pick some up. I have been gainfully unemployed for the last couple months. And I honestly had no idea that you had your own paint line until I was on the site about a month ago looking at it. When I picked this up, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I've got to get some Pokorny paints.
You do? What is wrong with you? Okay, look.
I have failed you, Stefan. I am sorry.
You failed. You're using one of my competitors' paints, aren't you? Oh my God.
So this is my own special blend of paint that I'm actually sadly am.
Look at how easy this nozzle is. You just turn it and now it's open, right? And then I gotta squirt out. I think I'm gonna squirt out this thing. See? And now I can turn the nozzle. Look at that. No mess.
No mess, no fuss, no muss.
I use these paper cups that I buy in the online. I guess I bought a whole pack of them, and I can. So let's see if this is going to work. I'm guessing. I'm looking at this, and I'm guessing that this is the olive dry brush color. So I'm going to start. I start with dry brush is what it means. You dry your paint on the paper towel. You see.
So you start dry brushing.
Yeah, there's no.
Well, there's no need to paint it. I'm going all gray with this bad boy, so you're definitely going to beat me.
there's no need. There's the dry brush is there's no need to prime these pieces,
right? Which is super cool.
So
the Dwarvenite is awesome.
See, this is how we do dry brush. It just goes on like this. You dry it on the paper towel so it's not too wet, and then you just dry brush it over the piece.
So how vibrant was the
That's
gaming
a little
scene?
too bright. It's a little too bright. I'm gonna wipe it off just like that. You see that?
Bam! It's like new.
Already I'm making mistakes. See, I just wiped it off. So what I'm realizing here is that maybe wow, I think I'm gonna go straight to Stone Edge. Stone Edge
Nice.
dry brush. Stone Edge dry brush instead of that one.
So how
Yeah,
much
it's been a
like
long time, guys, since I've painted. So I'm already like trying to figure things out. Right. Stone Edge.
how vibrant was the game scene in New York when you were a kid compared to like now with D&D having exploded?
Oh my God, I mean, I just asked my friends. I had a lot of friends in the neighborhood, so I just asked my friends and the kids from school. So I don't know maybe what the scene was. I don't know if there was a scene anywhere. I think everyone played. If anything, you could go to like maybe the Complete Strategist. They had like at least 2 stores in the city, maybe even 3.
Wow.
Maybe they had one at Rockefeller Center. They had one near the Empire State Building, or it might have been in the base of the Empire State Building. It still is there. Then he had one, I think, on 57th Street, and there was a game store in the oh boy, look at this. Wow. Okay. Oh yeah, that's more. This is what we need. The Stone Edge dry brush.
Nice.
Stone Edge dry brush.
So what is it like? What has it been like for you seeing? Oh, that looks.
I don't know if you can see it, but
oh, you just had it hit it just right just a second ago.
Anyway, there's not much to see. The glare and all that, not much to see, but this is, trust me, this is the color, but it has to be very dried. You don't want to over brush, you know. And what we're dry brushing is all the stairs. See, I hold the brush at the end of the thing, at the end.
See, I'm way down here by the.
Oh no, you don't want to do that. You want to flick it. You want to flick it like this. You see? See, watch. You see how I'm flicking?
Ah. See, I always hold the brush down low, so I already learned something new today.
Oh, there's different
Hey,
techniques.
what's up, Scott? How are you?
Different techniques. How you doing? Oh, see, I'm already painting the gem. So what I do when I do it, I take my thumb, then I just rub it off the gem. But actually, these are water soluble. So if you end up painting a gem, you can just like with a little bit of water, sort of later on, or maybe a Q-tip, just take the paint off, or with your nail, take the paint off the. That's my theory. Anyway, the tip of your tip, make sure it's very dry. How do I do this? There. Very dry. You see, I wish I had a camera behind me, but very dry, and then here, just and then make sure you take the. Yeah, that seems to work. If you just take your thumb after you dry brush it, just take the thumb and rub that gem, the ruby, so it's not colored. Yeah.
So you mentioned your world a few minutes ago, and it's Valeria, correct?
Valoria is the city.
Valoria, I was close.
The world is Mithras. Mithras is the world, and Valoria, like Valor, Valoria is my main city there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And that's what you've worked on since you were a kid.
The Game of Thrones, Valeria and all that. But it's, I made up that name before Game of Thrones was written. Okay, by the way. So he may have copied me,
You got to watch out for George R.R. Martin,
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah.
Huh?
He may have seen my world and then used Valeria. That's my story. But no, great stuff. I love the Game of Thrones. I'm a big fan.
It was such a fun show, and the the last couple seasons, I was kind of like, especially the last one, but it was still fun. You know, it was.
I still liked it. I don't know what everybody was bitching about so much at the end. I thought it was okay. You know, I mean,
Spoiler alert, I liked the way the. Oh, geez. I just lost his name as soon as I was about to say it. The way she killed the king of the undead there. I can't think of his.
What was her name? Cersei?
No, Cersei was the Lannister. See, I was going to say Sansa, but Sansa was the older sister.
Oh, it's been a while.
Someone in chat, help us out.
Somebody out in chat, help! What?
Oh, what was her name? The Night King was. That's right. The Night King was who she killed in Arya Stark. Thank you very much, Scott and Casper.
Oh, there you go, Arya, the Night King. Now, my girlfriend Anne, she said she came up with another ending that she thought would have been better. Her ideal ending would have been that the Night King ends up killing everybody, right? Night King ends up killing everybody, including you know, the Lannister woman. What's her name?
It was Cersei. That you had that right. That was the one you had.
Kills everybody, but then at the very end, you know, the Night King kills Cersei. Cersei becomes a Night Stalker.
Ooh.
And then Cersei kills that dude. Kills the head Night Walker, and she sits herself on the Iron Throne as the queen of the undead.
I actually like that.
That's that would be the most fitting ending in Game of Thrones. You know, I would have went for that.
Yeah, I could have absolutely, but I love the way she dropped that knife, and then just ducked down and stuck it right in there, and that was the end of it.
Oh yeah, oh man, yeah. I gotta watch it again, man. It's been a while, you know. All right, so here I got all the dry brushing in. Look at that. I don't know if you can see these things here. I've got all the dry brushing in there. See, it doesn't take long to do the stone dry. I didn't do the middle part because the middle part, as you see in the finished piece, is black and red.
Ooh, okay. Very nice.
I used the stone edge. And
yeah, I don't know if you, well, you can see it. I'm going all gray with the body of it. And I was going to kind of mimic your painting of the top of the dais black. So
the stairs.
Yeah, we're doing all right, I think.
How do I show the stairs? Oh, this angle. Okay. You know, I don't know if you can see it, but anyway, very easy. It's like mostly done. You know, okay, not really, but so now I'm gonna go with the what do we have? A black. Oh my God, I didn't realize the black. The edges here is black, and so what I've got is just the base. Now I've got to do the black. The black. Or no, I think the gold first. First, you got to get gold inside. We got to get gold inside these recesses. All right, because then you go to dry brush over that. So, all right.
See, I'm learning so much about painting.
I'm learning how to do this as I go along. You know, I'm going to try bright gold here by Pro Acrylic paints that I just bought when I was at Gen Con. Shout out to Pro. I don't think we make a gold paint unless we do, in which case I'm really screwing up here. Everyone may often be like, what are you doing? We make that paint. We make gold paint, you idiot. So they also have the same kind of nozzle. See? They're copying me. All right. Are they? Oh, wait a minute. I got to open the freaking thing. Look at that. Oh my God, they have a little.
They have a little.
I've never seen that. All right. I'm making a mess here. All right. I'm not used to this tiny, this little cardboard box of a paint area. All right, so now I got the gold paint, and now I'm going to use a smaller Pokorny brush, and now I have to get into the little holes. So now I notice
And for anyone,
water, I've got this little squeeze bottle. I use a little squeeze bottle that I might use a drop. Okay, there you go. Make it a little more
and for
liquid.
anyone wondering, they can pick up Pokorny paints at dwarvenforge.com.
Dwarvenforge.com. There. So now I gotta.
So man, it must have been nerve-wracking when you launched the first Kickstarter in 2012. How crazy was that?
It was yeah, I mean, I don't know much about the technical parts, so
Well, I mean, just watching it go from zero up to funding.
How crazy was that? Yeah, I was like, nuts. I'm just dabbing. You see, I'm just dabbing in there. Hey, let me look at this one for guidance. Okay. Gosh, it was, it was something else to watch those numbers go up, and I had no idea how we would do because it was the first one, and yeah, after the first day, it was, I think we made almost $1 million on the first day, and it was like,
Crazy.
we're going to be successful, so that was really great.
Did it create more panic, like being like, oh my God, now we've got to do this? And
no panic like that. Because we knew what we could do. There's no panic doing that. But it was more like relief, I guess, relief that, yeah, it worked. All this hard work that we did, at that point, at that time, it was really just me and Jeff Martin. And then my sort of, at that time, like my silent partner, Jay, who was the business guy. And then the factories in China, which they have their team of people that do all the factory stuff, making the metal molds and figuring out how to pack it. The logistics are really mind-blowing on how you can get these things to America. It's just minded. The metal molds are like $10,000 each, and you need cranes to lift them up and pick them into this huge machine, and then it takes hours to. So the whole thing is a logistical nightmare. And back then it was much easier because we only had like a dozen pieces for the first sets, right? So it was easy. Oh, in fact, what I'm thinking about the very, very first set. No, the first Kickstarter, even though that was still easier, that was maybe 30 pieces, maybe 30. Yeah, I don't know.
You actually started Dwarven Forge in 96, right?
In 96, there were only like a dozen pieces, but that was not Dwarvenite. That was resin, which is a whole different process. Easier, Resin is, I got to keep painting while I do this. I'm
trying, but I'm so used to looking at the camera and talking that it's kind of hard to.
I'm not used to it. Usually what I do when I paint these things, I blast the heavy metal. I blast the heavy metal music, and I just concentrate on the music. Just keeps me awake. And so,
nice.
What my girlfriend says, what Anne says, she says I'm a laser focused kind of guy, like, and I'm not good at doing two things at once. I just do one thing, and then I'm laser focused on it so much that I don't hear people talking to me, So
I get accused of the same thing by my fiance. She could be standing right next to me while I were painting, for example, and say, Dave, and I'd just keep on painting, and she'd be like, hey, and I'd snap out of it eventually.
Oh my God. It's You know what the interesting thing is? While I'm like that with painting, I'm not like that with sculpting.
Hmm.
For some reason, for sculpting, I seem to be less. I seem to still be able to talk and not be so laser focused. For some reason, I don't know what it is about the sculpting, but with painting,
Interesting.
it's different. I I think I don't know, but
I would be more afraid of screwing up a sculpt that I would have to laser focus.
oh,
But
you would think because it's all angles, right? Three-dimensional. Oh, we all have these different brains. Now,
I
one thing I want to say, when you're painting these things, I mean, look how sloppy I am. When you're painting
I
these
don't even
things,
want to show mine right now.
it's all just, you know, better to just be quick and sloppy and then go back and fix things
Fix it.
than
Yep.
try to get into every little. See, right now, I know that I'm going to dry brush over this, so I'm just totally um, going over the borders. It's probably if I was laser focused, I'd be a little less sloppy, but forget it. So, oh well, even the front has gold in here. This is good. All right.
So when I was doing my research, I believe I read you sold out in 4 hours at Gen Con 96.
Oh yeah, the very
That's
first Gen
crazy.
Con. Yeah, that was where I was much more, um, scared at that one. I mean, I felt confident, but definitely the first time ever selling anything, you know, and it was made more scary by the fact that we went to something that was called WinterCon, um, that they had tried. This was back in Milwaukee. WinterCon. So we're like, let's go to check out this WinterCon thing before we actually go to Gen Con. And so we showed up at WinterCon and we had a few prototypes and we walked around and showed them around and it seemed like no one really cared. The people that we had showed it to were like, meh, yeah, no, I don't know. I guess it's interesting, meh, and then we even sat in the corridor and had some pieces out on the floor. We were playing around with it, and no one really stopped to look. And so we were a little bit like, whoa, I don't know, man. Wow, I thought this people would like be stopping and gawking and be like, oh my God, look at that stuff. And they weren't. So I was like, oh, this could be bad. Well, we got our
Little
little
did you know.
we got a little 10-foot booth, and I spent a long time building the gigantic maze, gigantic setup, you know, and I filled it full of the little miniatures that I had painted for my own collection because at that point we had not made any miniatures, any monsters or anything. So it's my own collection. A lot of people don't know this, but I my first one of my first dungeon masters was this guy named James Kelleher in Long Island. I answered an ad in Dragon, no, in that game store, the Complete Strategist. They had a bulletin board. I met a
Yep.
lot of people through this bulletin board. You know, play Dungeons and Dragons. Are you a play? Do you have what it takes to play in our campaign? So I contacted this guy and I went for the interview, right? And then I got in. They're like, I brought my maps and things, and I'm getting gold paint everywhere. All right, so I have like. What is interview? Oh, I forgot to have a glass of water for my brushes. Jesus, babe, you think you could bring me a glass of water so I can wash my paintbrushes? Thank you. See how it's great to have a girlfriend in the like,
Yeah, mine is in the other room, my fiance, and I did the same thing, but what I'm going to do is I've got my one of those little white plastic pallets and I'm just going to dump some water into the center of it
all this.
and then hope I don't forget it's in there when we're done and hopefully not dump it all over the floor.
And here now, this is more sensitive area. Here is the undersides. Also has gold paint, so there's a lot of gold. These snake people, you know, they love gold. So here, my sweetheart.
Indeed.
Thank you. I got
Water.
my Gen Con, my Gary Con cup here of water.
Yeah, well loved and much used.
Yeah.
And here's some paper towels in case you need to.
I got tons of
Oh, you do? Okay.
Thank you.
I'll take that away.
Thank you. I don't know. I'm running out of space here. I'm going to put this here.
I am hoping to make it to Gary Con.
An entire huge cup of water all over my computer somehow.
You want less water?
I'm scared. No, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm just creating some, you know, drama for the viewers, babe. Right, play with me here. All right, go. So now I'm going to make this a little more watery.
See, the advantage, my fiance was in the other room listening to us on YouTube, and she just brought me a glass of water. So, thank you. I love you.
I think I'm totally overdoing this now. This is, I may regret this, but I just like, wow, look at that. I just totally spread gold all over this freaking thing. But then I'm going to have to go back with the black, you know, and dry brush, you know, you'll see. All right. Yeah.
I'm following your lead on not being as careful with the gold.
Yeah, I'm not being careful at all. I'm like, it's all flying to the wind, you know. Well, I think, oh no, there's good gold in here too. There's a lot of gold in here. There's a lot of gold in this. Oh, these are black and gold. Okay. In the circle has a lot of gold. See how fast I'm doing this? You don't need to be precious about this, you know. Just paint that. Paint that.
So what was it that got you into art in general? Like, I've noticed you've done a lot of like canvas art for my lack of knowledge there in art of how to explain it.
Canvas art, yes. Canvas art, wooden art, egg temper art, you know, oil painting, egg temper painting. I haven't acrylic painting, if you want to count miniatures, that's acrylic. So yeah, all kinds of paints, you know, all kinds of paints. And I was like, I've always been into drawing, you know, like ever since I was a little child. I was a very rambunctious kid, and I run around everywhere. And my parents, the only way they could get me to stop running around was to put crayons in front of me, and then I would sit still, like laser focused. Incredible, like wouldn't bother anyone for hours. So we went to restaurants, you would bring the paper, the coloring book, whatever, and crayons. And if they wanted me to stop running around, they would give me the coloring book. So that's how it started, I guess. And also, they took me all over Europe. You know, my mother's Italian, my father's Czechoslovakian. So they would take me all over Europe when I was newly adopted. I was adopted. And they took me all from the age of like three years old. They took me all over Europe, and I saw all kinds of great art, European art, and museums. They took me to all these museums because they were art lovers. So this was my first experience with this new family, a new family that I had, and they were taking me to see all this artwork, and maybe it got into my head, you know, this is my life now. I better get on this art because I don't want to be traded away again, you know. Ooh, you're doing a great job there.
Thank you.
Now you see, are you getting it in the groove?
I did get a little in the groove. So I kind of followed your lead on the back and the sides here as well.
I can see
just kind of getting it in there.
See, now I need to re-put them in there because some of them, as the paint dries, it looks like, so I just double check and make sure it's not undrying from the grooves, you know. That's why I really blob it in there, you know, really blob it in. So there was a little, maybe too much water on that one on the top. We're going to make sure it stays in there because we didn't prime them, you know, which is not necessary, but sometimes it takes what some people do instead of not what they wash it with soap. Some people I hear, they take the piece. I've never done it. They take the pieces and they wash it with soap water to make, because sometimes the you may have a little bit of oh, but though, you know what they told me at the factory is when it comes out of the mold and everything, first of all, they put it in a acrylic thing. A lot of people don't know this. Once it comes, the Dwarvenite comes out of the machine, it's hot and it's pliable, and so they put it in a mold, a plaster mold that has the same shape, and they put it there so when it cools down, it doesn't warp. They have to do that for every single piece.
Wow.
And let it sit there for a while. Then they take it out of there and they put it for a couple seconds in an acid bath. An acid bath to get off the
mold release or
the mold release stuff that will thwart the painting, right?
Interesting.
So that you stick it in the acid bath for a minute, so then it'll take the paint, which they use lacquer. They use a lacquer paint. They don't use acrylic paint. Very hard to work with lacquer paint. I tried. I once had to go to the factory in China, and they gave me all these lacquer paints, and I was, oh my God, I don't know how to use this paint, and I was having difficulty mixing them because the mix is a little more difficult, and then they dry really quickly, and so the whole thing was very touch and go, and I was like, oh my God, I'm only here for like a day, and I have to paint the cavern set prototype.
Oh,
I painted the cavern set prototype in one day at the factory with a Chinese guy mixing the paints for me. I would tell him I need this to be a little more yellow, no, maybe a little more red, and he would mix it, you know. And so I had this. It was great. I had this painting mixing expert, and he was so good. And I'd be like, no, it should be a little more this and that, and he would add the paint and color, and then. So I had my own mixer. I wish I had a guy like that. I don't need to because these are all made for the right colors. All right. But, and in one day, I painted the original resin set cavern colors at the factory. And we okayed the prototypes, and boom, that was it. Back in the day when it was just me. Sculpting.
That must have been really fun, though.
Yeah, it was an adventure. Those were the days, you know. Now I can talk a little because we're just waiting for this to dry. Now, what I would do usually is I have a hair dryer, and I would use the hair dryer to be like, you know. But I just
I'm trying to get the scroll work in the center there.
Oh, well, look at you! You're keeping right up with me. You're right behind me. Look at that.
I'm trying my best.
Yeah.
Hey, and what's up, Scat and Paul? How are you two doing?
All right, Paul says, hi, Paul. Long time. I know Paul. He's been around a long time. We don't have a gold, but we have gorgeous bronze. Well, maybe one day we need to find the right gold paint, you know? Usually, I mean, everyone has a tiny little bottle of gold, right? Don't they, at home? All us painters, right? So we don't consider it totally necessary, you know, because in the beginning we weren't making money on the paints. We tried to sell them as cheap as possible, just to break even. Now I think they've raised it a few more dollars so we could actually make some money, which, you know, we are a business. Still a great deal. I have no idea how much they cost now, but used to be $8. I don't know how much it is now, but we actually now sell enough of them that we make a tiny little bit of money.
Nice.
You know?
That's good.
Yeah.
That is very good.
Yeah.
It's never fun to watch your...
It was really just a service to be like, listen, you wanted to unpaint it, you wanted to get cheap. We're going to sell these to you as cheap as possible, you know, like at cost for what we can get it for. And, you know, plus like whatever the shipping and handling, and we would make like no money. But now now they want to make money. So, and we have like a dozen people now working in the office. It's not just me anymore. It's like a dozen artists and video people. We have an incredible office of younger people that have good eyes and that can know how to use computers, because everything is like the internet now. And
Yep.
running a Kickstarter is so complicated the way we do it. All these videos, all these screens. And so we have all these people working year round on the mechanics of it, which is mind blowing. You need, we actually made a website in order to help people to navigate the Kickstarter. So things have
That's
changed
crazy.
a lot since the days when I was in charge. Now I'm really kind of semi-retired, and I go to conventions and I run games. I get to do the fun part.
Nice.
But I don't want to sell anything. I don't want to deal with problems with the factories. I don't want to deal with the problems of this measurement is wrong. Listen, I lost my mind back in back in New York, and I had to leave. Really, I probably had a nervous breakdown. Didn't know it. But things are what is Paul saying? Digital
Paul
sculpting
said,
and Farforged. I don't know. They're doing some digital sculpting. It might have been necessary for some pieces, especially because this is a modern. They might have had circles, tubes, and circles and things, and those are hard to do by hand. Much easier to do it on a computer. I know that the vast majority of everything you do is hand sculpting, but for Starforge, they may have started to experiment with some digital sculpting. I always felt that hand sculpting was more. It made it look more human because it's not perfect. And believe it or not, to me, it looks a little better if everything's not perfect. It attains a little bit of humanness in it, but
Yep.
maybe not with a set that's supposed to be the future. We're machines. Everything's made by machines, not by hand. We're not making trees. We're making tubes and, panels that are in the future. So, I can understand where maybe they did some of that. Where do they find people who could do digital sculpting? I don't know. They don't tell me anything anymore. They don't want to hear from old man Pokorny. Like, you stay, you do your thing, and let the younger people handle it, okay? Old man Pokorny. So I go to the conventions, and this is what I love to do. I love to set up the pieces, and my wonderful girlfriend comes and she packs the luggages. We design everything ahead in my game room. Then we take pictures. Then Anne packs it up in her system. She has a system of packing everything. We throw everything in these rope buckets. She just throws everything in rope buckets. There's a separate bag for every room. She throws it in the rope buckets, and then we throw the rope buckets in the luggage and zip it up. And that's how we travel. There's no bubble wrap. There's no cushioning. There's nothing. They don't need that with Dwarvenite. It's really just, look. I mean, look at this. Look at it. Whoa! Look at that. Dwarvenite. Look at that. Dwarvenite, folks. Dwarvenite's the best. The best. Huh?
Was it Timex that used to say takes a licking and keeps on ticking? Dwarvenite's the same way.
Over and over again. We throw these things in my luggage. We even have used it as packing material. The luggage, you're like, oh, there's some space in the corner here. Throw some more Dwarven Forge pieces in that corner. Fill out that luggage. Literally, that's what we do. And so
that's pretty cool.
I can go to conventions. We travel about 12 times a year all over America and also in Europe. Go to Essen and Germany and Lucca and Italy and pack it for years now. Like a decade of travel with the same pieces. They still look as good as new. And that's, I love that about it. Do they have as much detail as the original resin? No, I like the original resin better artistically. The original resin is a beautiful, because it really looks and feels like stone,
Right.
And if you hold the two pieces next to each other, you can tell. You say, oh my God, yeah, it looks better. But you don't want to throw those pieces around. They will break. If you throw a resin piece on the ground, it'll break. It'll usually it'll like crack in half, and then you can just glue it back. Because I used to bring those to conventions too. I brought those all over the place, and we would have one or two cracks maybe, and a whole luggage full of. And you just glue it back. It doesn't shatter. It usually just is like a little crack, and then you just super glue it back, and then you can't tell. If you can see a little tiny crack, it just looks like it's older. The key thing is that we cast them in solid gray. So if it chips or cracks, you don't see it because it's gray. That was a key thing that we did after the first year. Because the first year we casted everything in white. If you have some resin Dwarven Forge pieces that have white chips, then you got the very first batch in 1996 of Dwarven Forge pieces. After that, we started casting them in gray. So, yeah. Hello, Richard.
Oh, you got it. All right. I wasn't sure if you saw it.
Yeah, he likes it. Dwarvenite is so much more durable. I ended up replacing all my resin with it. Well, it's more durable, and you don't have to worry about your kids dropping them, or. Am I checking out PAX? Where's that at? In the one in Seattle? Because I'm not. And I don't intend to go. But someone asked me if I want to go to one in Philadelphia in December and be up on a panel. If I'm in New York City in December, I might consider doing that. They'll give me a badge and everything. So I think the office is going to that one. They often go to the one in Philadelphia. And then the best part about that is I can get a cheesesteak.
Yeah, I'm going to Unplug this year, and I can't wait.
And I get a Philly cheesesteak, or like every day.
Well, if you do go, we'll have to grab a cheesesteak together because
you're going to be there?
So I will be.
Oh, look at that. A cheesesteak and a brewski.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of brewskis, what is your favorite style of beer? Are you an IPA guy?
No. Oh, no. That's the one I hate.
Oh, no. Jeez.
Don't like IPAs. No. Yeah. No, they made those to get around the Horn of Africa, back in the day. They make them so they can last those long trips, but not necessarily for taste. Although once in a while I must say I had a great IPA. I was astonished once. I had one. I was, oh my God, this is the one IPA doesn't taste bitter. I don't know how they did it. I don't know if they were fooling me. I don't know. No, I like a refreshing, drinkable beer, like a lager.
Nice.
If I want something more serious, I would get like a Belgian ale, like a Duvel or a Chimay.
Yeah, those are heavy.
A Leffe, or anything from Europe. They don't make bitter beer over there. It's only in America. These people that they try to start to make beer, they make awful beers. They're horrible. So in America, I don't know what they do to the beer here in America. I really try to stick to the lightest beer possible. I was drinking Coors, but now I don't drink Coors because once they started, giving money to Trump or Trump's thing there, I was like, all right, I can't drink anymore now. So now I'm drinking other light beers, Bud Light, Rainier. Whoa, look at that!
I'm going green with the snakes, and I got the little guy here in the front green. So we'll see how this ends up looking.
And we probably just lost half our viewers now that I got political.
No, it actually went up. So
everyone knows that I lean left. I'm not really. I'm like in the center left, center left, and I have a lot
I'm
of
about the
Republican
same.
friends, believe it or not. I have a lot of Republican friends, but I just MAGA is just too much for me. But
I could not agree more, my friend. So, yeah,
right.
I could go on with that about that for hours, but
Oh no,
we
no,
can do that when we log off.
let's not get political. We're here to paint. We're here to paint.
So, can
But
you mail beer?
just dry
Do you
yet
know?
or what?
Can you mail beer? Do you know whether or not you can?
I don't know.
I'm gonna have to find out because, like I was telling you before we went live, here in
We
Maine,
we
we've
mailed
got.
we mailed wine. We got wine from Venice in the mail.
I'm gonna have to check on that because I'll hit some of the microbreweries around here and send some your way.
Got
And
this Guinness. Guinness is a great beer. I love a good Guinness in an Irish bar, or Harp. Guinness or Harp. Harp.
harp.
All right,
I
what are
went
we doing
to
here?
Scotland when I was 18, and I'm trying to remember what I mostly drank. I don't remember most of the trip because I was 18, but what I remember is on one side of the road, you could be 18 and drink, and the other side, you had to be over 20.
Wow.
Like I went into this bar across the street, and they're like, "You can't drink here," and I'm like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "You're too young. You've got to go across the street."
What?
And it was the weirdest thing. But so we stayed across the street, and we traveled down into England and went to Liverpool, and that was a blast.
Oh.
That was what I decided to do with my family went, and I went with them, and I just hooked up with this group of folks from North Carolina, I believe. Like the trip is such a blur because on the England and Scotland border, there's this big stone that on one side says Scotland, the other side says England. And in all the pictures of me at that stone, I'm like leaning against it, looking half cocked. Well, I'm like, because I was probably so hungover, and I would love to go back now at an older, riper age where I
Wow.
would enjoy more of the historical aspects of it.
Wow. Well, maybe you were right at that area where one side was Scotland, the other side was England.
Yeah, we were right on the border because
Well, there you go. That was the answer to that. So
oh no,
I
I was just saying like the pictures of me, I looked so bad in those pictures because I'm like, and just half falling
mean, you're having a
over.
good
And
time.
I certainly did.
I'm doing the black dry brush here. Black dry brush. And wow, it's coming out pretty good. This is probably going to be one of the easier dry brushes. So I'm the black. And fortunately the gold is deep down in this hole, so it's not picking it up. Wow.
Right.
I'm probably gonna have to go, and
So
touch
how's
up
the
a few
real?
areas down in there.
Yeah, I know
For the
I'm
most
going to
part,
have to.
For the most part, it's coming great.
Hadrian's Wall, Scott said, "Thank you so much," because I
Oh,
would not have remembered that. I remember I saw so much stuff that I wish I remembered because it's such a fantastic place. Ooh, my gold was not dry. Bad, Dave.
yeah. You gotta make sure.
I got to let it sit for a minute. So, how surreal has it been for you, like going from 1996 to now with Dwarven Forge?
What a journey, but also what a journey life is. I mean, it's yeah, just getting older in itself is like wow, like you don't realize that you're going to slow down, then you're going to get tired, and not everything is going to be. I used to have so much energy when I was young, and then you after 40, now I'm 57. And it's some days, if you don't get enough sleep. Last night I got sufficient sleep. I took like some sleeping pills. I said,
I have to every
"Yeah, I'm
night
gonna be
because
awake." I actually had like probably 8 hours of sleep. It was glorious.
nice.
Yeah.
I never get 8 hours of sleep. I have way too much energy, even still at like 48. Uh, I am just going all the time.
Ah,
And we'll see if I slow down as I get up there a little bit more in years, but
oh, all right.
we'll see. I'm not sure that it will happen with me because between my ADHD and my energy levels, man, I'm just like all the time. So
Wow. Oh, that's what my girlfriend says, that I have ADHD. I don't know. I don't know if I do or not.
oh, I know I do. I'm like that dog in the movie Up. I'm like, ooh, I could be talking to you at say we go to PAX Unplugged, you go to PAX Unplugged, and I'll be like, oh, hey, Stefan, how's it going? Oh, squirrel, look at that.
So that's what it's about, being distracted. Is that what it is?
Some of it, and like, I don't know the full. I got diagnosed with it, and I totally believe I am
Oh,
because I can hop from project to project like it's nobody's business.
yeah.
And there's the brush I want.
There we go. Doing like a wet dry brush here. Wet dry brush is when it's a dry brush, but it's really not as dry as normal. Like it's sort of dryish, dryish.
So, do you have any special plans for Dwarven Forge's 30th anniversary in 2026?
Oh my God, is that in 2026? Wow, we
Yeah,
should
coming
start
right up.
planning for that. That's a good idea. Wow, I thought the 25th was cool. The 30th also is cool.
Yeah,
Let's make a T-shirt, or well, we should do something better than that. I'm usually the idea guy, so I should figure something out for that. This one came out pretty good. Look at that dry brush. Yeah.
nice. I'm trying to touch mine up now because
Yeah, a little bit of touching up helps in the end. I would like to do like a thing at Gen Con, for the 30th, be like, let's do a Dwarven Forge fan build, something
ooh,
like
that would be
that,
cool.
and get all the 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 big streamers, the fans, the Dwarven Forge fans to come in and do like a huge build, you know. I was thinking about this, like maybe everybody could have their own table, and then
That
the
would be
tables
neat.
would connect, and so you connect from one table to another, and then you could do a huge fan build of Dwarven
That would
Forge,
be
and maybe,
awesome.
maybe even do a Guinness record, beat the Guinness record with a huge Dwarven Forge fan build. I've been talking about this, with the guy, some guys, Todd of a Creative Adventure Tables site, I think, or Todd Putnam, and
Yep,
and
I know the name.
yeah, great guy, and we were, talking about doing something like this. I was supposed to meet him not this past Gen Con, but two Gen Cons ago, and but then I caught COVID the
Ugh,
day before we were supposed to fly out there. Can you believe it? I was so pissed. The day
I would have
before
been too.
we get on the plane, I caught COVID, and so I had to stay home. You know? Yeah,
That would have crushed my little heart having something like that happen because I
it
get
was
so
hard.
excited for cons.
I know. It was the
And
first time I missed Gen Con since '96.
wow,
Yeah.
that is one I have yet to hit. And it's been mostly a financial issue for me to get out there. But I've actually had a couple of people offer me places to stay if I do go next year. So I
That's
think
one
I'm
of
going
the
to
most
have to
expensive
go.
parts, is this place to stay. Yeah, the hotel. So that if you got a place to stay, that's one of the best things, because that's one of the most expensive parts.
Yeah, because I imagine they jack the rates right up for Gen Con.
Oh, they are, probably a result. That's like the one convention that I go to that I'm not a special guest at, so I actually have to pay for my hotel room. Usually, the convention pays, but
That's
that
a
we have
pretty sweet deal.
a whole team of people, though. They actually, what they do is they Airbnb a place. They don't use a hotel, but Airbnb like a house.
That's what I did with some friends this year for Total Con in Massachusetts. Was we did an Airbnb
Yeah,
because it
that'll
was
work.
way cheaper than a hotel at like $200 a night.
Yeah, that's the way to go. Oh, it's okay. All right.
It's Dwarvenite. It's fine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's been a while since I painted terrain. I just, I don't paint it. I buy it painted, Even my own stuff, I don't get it for free. When we do a Kickstarter, I get a huge discount, but I got to pay something, I got to pay cost. So if I want $10,000 worth of Dwarven Forge, I got to pay cost. I don't get it for free. So I still pay a lot of money,
Well, yeah, I mean that's going to affect the bottom line if you
Yeah, they don't want
don't.
to lose
So
money by sending stuff to me, That's not fair. My partner don't want that. So, because I buy a lot, I get a lot. So I do have a lot, but because I get a discount, I'm able to get a lot,
So with you being a sculptor, what do you think of like 3D printed terrain? And
I mean, I have a few pieces. I saw a few pieces on Etsy. Once again, I get it painted. There's a few people that do some good stuff, and I get some pieces. Usually, it's not terrain. Although I did get this one snake thing that I thought added to what I have. It was an altar, weird snake altar. I used it at GaryCon, I believe. But no, once in a while I see some stuff and I'm like, oh yeah, a lot of player characters and sometimes like furniture, a lot of furniture. I have a lot of furniture done by other people, Etsy people,
Yep.
Yeah. And then there's a place in Russia, tiny furniture. I get a lot of their painted
Interesting.
stuff. They do beautiful, beautiful things, It's expensive, but not really for the quality. For the quality, it's cheap if you ask me. Beautiful stuff, tiny furniture.
I'm gonna
But
have to check
it's
that out.
printed. It's not dwarvenite, so you got to be real careful. It breaks. It can break. So when I take that to conventions, we pack it in like that stuff. It's like cotton,
Yep.
this fluffy stuff. But that adds a lot for the scenery that are inside the rooms, like coffins and fancy throne, all kinds of stuff. Because DF makes a lot of that stuff, but there's a world of terrain out there. There's so many things. When I first started Dwarven Forge, there was like nothing. There wasn't anything out there. Very few things, and not painted. And then when I started, everyone lost their minds because they're like, "My God, it's so awesome, and it's modular, and it's painted." So that's why I sold out in 4 hours. And then and
That's
then
so crazy.
then a lot of people started using terrain in their D&D games when before not many people used terrain at all. I mean, it's still niche. It's still sort of niche as in like there's only like I don't know, 5 or 10,000 people, or maybe 20,000. I don't know how many people there are who actually use terrain in their D&D games. Maybe 20,000, 30,000. Who knows? Depends on how much you're talking, you know,
Yep.
compared to the millions, tens of millions of people, 20 million people that play Dungeons and Dragons. There's only like tens of thousands of people who use hand terrain, you know. So it's niche, but tens of thousands of people is a lot different than a couple dozen people
Right.
when I started, you know, because there's nothing. You had to literally make your own stuff, you know. So I'm very proud to think that I started an industry, you know. Then a lot of other companies came to the table when they saw that I could make money at it. A lot of other companies started doing it, lesser quality, but they started doing it, you know.
Let's see. Richard says back in the day you had to make your own before
You had to make your
Dwarven
own.
Forge. Yeah. I wish I
Yep.
had it right handy. I made a waterfall out of cardboard and modeling paste.
Yeah,
I
I
wish
used
I
to
had
use
it right where I could
cardboard.
grab it and show you.
Oh, yeah, that way I was using cardboard too. Styrofoam, cardboard. And then I was like, I'm a sculptor. I can sculpt this in clay and make a cast out of it, and I can, you know, I can sell these. I'm not the only one that might want it, you know. So it started as like a hobby, and then when we sold out, I was like, oh wow, I can do this every year, you know. I was still painting, you know, for the first few years, maybe the first 10 years of Dwarven Forge, I was still just an artist. I was still painting paintings and sculpting people's portraits and trying to get by as an artist, you know. And then in
So I
my
know
art studio, I would ship a half container to my art studio in Long Island City in Queens. And then every day, first I would hire a bunch of friends to help me unpack this monster, bring it up into my studio. So I'd half my studio be covered with boxes, and then at like 5 o'clock every day, UPS would come by, and I would ship out like 10 boxes. People would fax me money on the fax machine. They would
wow.
fax me orders. My father's fax machine, his office. My father had an office in our house, and with the fax, and I would run the credit card, and then I would ship them out via UPS.
Now I know you mentioned it in the Dwarven art. Your dad was a architect, correct?
Architect, yeah. He was actually a pretty well-known architect, you know. He came over from Czechoslovakia. Now it's the Czech Republic, but back then it was Czechoslovakia. And during World War II, you know, the Nazis were coming into Prague, you know, and Prague, they just gave up. They didn't want to fight, and it had such a beautiful city. Can you imagine if it had been bombed? Now it's like the treasure of Europe because they gave up. They didn't get bombed, and there a few things got blown up, but not most part. It was, when the Allies came in and, liberated. There were some Nazis that blew up a few buildings in retaliation as they were moving out. Those bastards. I hate Nazis, man. You know,
I'm with you.
That's why I hate Trump so much, because he's a goddamn Nazi. All right. So my father had to escape the Nazis, came to America, left everything. He came from a wealthy family in Prague, and Nazis took everything. They stole everything. My father was, his father was the head dude at the factory, Skoda Works in Prague. He was the manager of that factory. It was the biggest factory in Prague. And Nazis came over, took over, and told him, "You're going to make tanks now." So he had no choice or be killed, right? He had to make tanks for the Nazis. my father, but he managed to have his son escape through Switzerland and came in and came without knowing how to speak English. An immigrant, like my mother, another immigrant, and me, an immigrant. He came to Ellis Island for a few days, and they had to figure out how to get accepted as an immigrant, and he was able to pass the test and become a student at Columbia University Architecture School, and there he was really good because he was already a very good architect. He was 23 years old, 23
Wow.
years old, and he was already an architect. So he entered the school, the master's degree program. They accepted a master's degree program, but he was great. And he was doing everything in pencil, and they were all astonished because they were like, well, we use these pens. He's like, no, I've been trained in pencil. He did these beautiful pencil drawings of architectural renderings, and so then everyone started doing pencil. He started a little movement there. And he was so good that when he graduated, they immediately hired him to teach at Columbia University. And he stayed there as the teacher up until he was like 90.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so
Giving
cool.
lectures, 90, 91 years old at Columbia University. And first he was a modern artist. He did a lot of things, modern buildings and music halls and things, and beautiful work. And Stony Brook, I don't know if anyone knows Stony Brook, upstate New York. He designed that, Stony Brook.
Wow.
And then he went into historical preservation, and he became an expert at historical preservation. And that was his office, became famous where he was known. He restored most of the old buildings in New York, Morris Jamel Mansion, all this, what is that place? Rockefeller Center. This old church uptown, one of the oldest Gothic churches up there, and something. South Street Seaport. He restored the whole block down to South Street Seaport. That was a 7-year project. I remember that very clearly. All these experts he had, and in the house, because he couldn't afford to have an office outside the house. So we had a little 4-story house, and we lived in the middle, and we had an architect's office on the ground floor, an architect's office on the top floor, and we lived in the middle. And the architects would come up and down through our living room, in our kitchen, and they would smell my mother's food and go crazy. She was always cooked. She would try not to cook anything till dinner time. So when they were leaving, she didn't cook for lunch, so that they didn't have to smell the spaghetti sauce. So we would have sandwiches for lunch or whatever, something that doesn't make an incredible smell. And then at night, we'd start the cooking, and then everyone would be like, they would get the hell out of there because they were so hungry. So, but yeah, it was like a family. We got to know all the architects, and and they were very well known, historical preservation. And then my father was chairman of the New York City Landmarks Commission for about 10 years.
Wow.
And that's a commission where they have to approve for you to tear down an old building. Like, you can't tear down they're the commission. They're like, oh no, this building is too beautiful and too precious and important for you to tear down. And they would fight Trump all the time, because Trump, a developer, he kept wanting to tear down the most beautiful buildings in New York to put up his gold atrocities. So it's another reason why I hate Trump so much, because my father knew what an asshole he was, and was constantly coming home to dinner and saying, oh, this horrible man is wanting to do this and that, and everyone hates him because he doesn't pay his workers, and he's always in legal trouble. This Mr. Trump. He's a bad man, And my father said something like that, you knew he was an awful, awful person, because my father would never say anything bad about anyone, but he would say bad things about Trump. Yeah. So we knew all about this jerk from way, way back,
So it's not a recently developed hatred. It goes way back.
Yeah. Well, see, we lost someone.
Yep.
Skip is gone.
Yep.
That's the risk you run when you try to, point out how con artists and grifters are doing it to you,
Yeah.
But hey,
Oh, and Neon Lord said Prague is so awesome. Glad to have been there a few times.
So awesome. It is. That's the city my father grew up in. Yeah. Beautiful city. Right. So I'm gonna try it.
Boy, I'm really torn because I saw the picture of the prototype of what to do with the ring. I've got to let the bottom of the dais dry for a little bit here.
I'm dry brushing this thing here now. Yeah. Yeah. Here we go. It's coming along here. It's coming along. How's yours coming out? Are you getting there?
I've got the base.
Oh my God, you're faster than me.
I've got to touch it up a little bit, and I've got to make sure I don't run this brush over it because it's got green on it. And the other thing I wanted to let you know, I know you had mentioned lunch before we started.
This is red and black. Look at that. You're going green. I like it. Because when you hand paint your own, you can do whatever color you want.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking, you know, I'm probably going to change. I'm going to change it, you know, at some point. I'll do some changes, you know. Maybe I won't stick to the plan, you know, and I'll do I'll do some customization. I'm definitely going to do some customization on this and not have it look like every other snake temple. Why the hell would I do that, right? The only reason to do that would be if you needed it to match something else. But we can stick to something similar and then, you know.
Oh, no, I just screwed up.
A few things. Oh. I was going to do like maybe you have this part. This part, I was going to do this to be more like flames. More like actual
that's
flames.
what I was thinking.
Yeah. Yeah. Here it's just the one we did is black. You know? Black. I mean, you know, we try not to go too crazy on the painting because otherwise the price goes way up, you know? So you don't want to be so high up that no one can afford it, you know? So we try to paint these things like just cool enough that they look cool, but not Demon Award painting that then no one can afford it, you know? So, but you can take the piece, pre-paint it, and you can improve it if you want. You can go and add more touches. See, that's what I would do. If I had the time, I'd get to paint it, and then I would try to improve places I want to. Although I've never done that because I've always just been happy with how it is. You know, they're good enough that they're ready to game with, and I'm not trying to win a Demon Award. You know, you just want to play Dungeons and Dragons. You know, to put the pieces at play. So they're painted pretty cool. It's good enough for me. You know. Yeah, look at that. It's coming out now. Look at it.
Nice. And I know before we got started, you did mention the time, and we are at 1 hour and 20 minutes right now.
Oh my God! Look at that. You see that? We're going overtime here. Well,
I just happened to look up.
I can still work for a while here, you know, if you want to. I mean,
cool.
I don't know if you
works for me.
Huh?
I've got my whole afternoon open, so.
Oh my God. Well, let's see how long we can go before Ann starts yelling. You know? Yeah. But you know, we don't eat the same things. She's a pescatarian. I'm a carnivore. So she'd probably just eat something without me. Yeah. No, then we also had to go and get some plants. We're gonna add some plants to the deck.
Nice. I did make one little mistake on this. Instead of painting the snake green, I painted the braid green, and I'm like, oh no! So I'm gonna have to go back and go over that.
Touch it up, you know. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So what I'm doing now, I did the dry brush, but now I'm going in and with the black, I'm trying to get the edges a little better. You know, usually I have this thing here. See, usually I use this.
Like I
Oh, yeah.
showed you these
Yeah,
that
that'll
I
work.
use when I paint because I
Yeah.
am blind as a bat. But if I looked up at the camera, it would look like my eyes were the size of silver dollars.
There. Well, there you go. You can still see me, and I got okay. Now I can see something. My God. Oh, look how sloppy you are, Stefano. Now I can see. Hmm. This helps a lot. It helps a lot when you can see. Oh my God.
It does.
I just be kind of like blindly, dry brushing. Oh God, here no, it's much better now. Gotta have faith in your dry brushing. As long as
Yeah, I will have to post the completed picture later because
yeah,
I've got to
yeah.
go back and fix some stuff on
My
this.
God. But look, what do you say we do this? What do you say? I don't know if you have me on another time.
Yeah, I would love to.
Would you like to do a part 2 and then we could finish? I could finish up and do like maybe the customization work.
Sure. That would work because I know you did mention you have to get going and do lunch and you got the plants you got to get. And I
Yeah.
certainly don't want to be the one to hold you up and have Ann yell at you. So
You don't want her to get mad, So this has been fun, I don't,
yeah,
I'm
dude,
not
I've had a blast.
and it's very chill,
I have had an absolute blast because
Try not to get political,
it happens. And
But when I start talking about Hitler and things like that, and it just dude's name just comes up,
yeah,
That yeah, like I said, I have a lot of Republican friends, but there's a certain point where it goes beyond politics, it's
yep.
bigger than it becomes about morality,
Yeah. And I am definitely, like you were saying, left central like you. But
You're
I
more
have
you're more left.
things to worry about with my kids, and stuff for
Oh
their
yeah,
future. And
yeah. I don't even have kids, but if I did, I'd be even more, crazy. But anyway, yeah, we stick the paint into pieces. Now there's a center. See, now I'm getting a little better with the.
yeah, I'm gonna have to attack this. Like I told you, I
Right.
look like bubbles when I put these things on. So
Yeah.
here, I'll give people a treat and pop them on real quick and let them see how these just make my eyes explode. I don't think I can get them on over the headphones.
I'm gonna have to go in later with the gold, and I can see that some areas where the gold needs touching up in the center. Now that I have my I recommend getting this one is Luxo.
I'm gonna write that down because that would be far
Look at that.
handier than my
Oh,
lenses.
look at that, and I have a light. Oh, now I can really see. Holy cow! So I've got my glasses, the strong glasses, but this is I recommend not the round one, but this is more oval, so it's a bigger area. Then I have my lamp. Look at that gloriously big light I have here. Okay. For all those miniature painters, that's what I recommend, getting that.
So Luxo, I got that written down.
Luxo, yeah. You go online, you can find these things. It's worth the investment. It's worth the investment. They're not cheap, but it's worth it.
But especially like I 3D print a bunch of stuff, so
Yeah,
I've
so
got to
you
get
do
back
that.
into painting. So
Yeah.
this is the first time I've painted Well, I take that back. I was going to say in a couple of years, but I had a friend of mine over a couple weeks ago, and we painted some minis. And I was saying to you before we started, I was like, "Oh, I'm a horrible painter, horrible painter." And I got done, and he looked at it, and he's like, "Dave, you need to shut up when it comes to saying you're a horrible painter."
Oh, yeah. Don't be so hard on yourself. Yeah.
Oh, I'm way too hard on myself.
Yeah.
That is for sure.
Well, a lot of artists are, that's you have to be to make great art. We gotta be kind of hard on yourself, but don't give up.
No, never,
Yeah,
never surrender.
never surrender. You always want to strive to keep doing better, and if something don't look right, do it again, do it better. The great artists are never satisfied, and they're pushing the envelope, always trying to do better. If you want to be a great artist, I don't know if miniature painting, if you need to be a great artist at it, you just want something to game with, But
Right.
it
You
doesn't
still want it to
hurt
look nice.
if you want to do a fantastic job of painting your pieces. It doesn't hurt to be, but just don't get depressed about it.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world. You don't. Yeah. What? This parts are coming along. What did I? So now, I would say I am about, wow. As far as this dies goes, I just got to do now like red colors, and it would be kind of like done. Honestly.
Nice. Yeah, I've got to do a lot of touching up later when I can put my glasses, my painting lenses on here. Paul is actually asking, what is your opinion on Park West Galleries?
Don't know where that is. Where is that? Is that what is Park West Gallery? Is that in Seattle?
I am not. I'm going to try to pull it up here and see what I can figure out.
I'm not really in the art world anymore, Once I became, the Dwarven Forge, I kind of stopped being in the art world. I used to sell to a lot of private clients and things like that. And
if I'm looking at the right one, it's in Southfield, Michigan.
Wow, I wouldn't know. How would I know about it? Okay, I don't know.
Apparently, there's a big lawsuit against him, it looks like.
Oh, well, a lawsuit against the gallery? Oh, you don't say.
Auctioneers do not always disclose that the house places a bid. Ooh. And they sometimes point to the back of the gallery to lead the audience to believe that an audience member placed the bid.
Oh,
interesting.
Those bastards. See that? I painted over the gems, so I'm gonna have to maybe later on get the razor blade and scrape it. It's acrylic paint, so I think it'll come off easy,
Did I have the right Park West Gallery, Paul? This is going to be a rabbit hole for me later. I can already tell you that. Looking into that one.
Oh my god. Oh, let's see.
That's just crazy that they're driving up their bids with house bids.
That's wrong, obviously. That's not good. That's lawsuit action there, wouldn't you say? Gosh, wow. I missed the section. Oh my god. This is all black. Okay.
And then Paul said they give free cruises to old people to convince them to spend tens of thousands of dollars on art prints.
Sounds real shady to me.
Yep.
Sounds real shady. Don't buy anything from them. All right, let's see.
I'm going to try to touch this one section up.
Yeah, well, I finished all the black. I missed one side. I didn't put the gold. I didn't put the gold on this one side. Oh my God. We'll do it now. Where's a brush? Did I lose a brush already? Yeah. Is the gold still wet? Probably.
Yeah,
probably
mine's still got a little tack to it.
Probably. Yeah, but I'd say I'm about 75% done on that piece.
And we just hit an hour and a half. So I know you've mentioned that you did want to kind of take off at that point. Or you had to. This is where I'm at so far. I just put the back on for...
Oh, look at that green. That's going to look nice.
Yeah, I've definitely got to touch that up as we...
Snake green. Huh? That's like a snake green. All right.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping it would come out looking like, judging by the color of the bottle.
Here it is. I'm gonna gob up. Paint this side.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to look into shipping you some yummy beer from the good old state of Maine.
Really? Okay. Well,
I'll see what the legalities are. If you shipped wine, I can't imagine it would be any different shipping beer.
From Italy, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. It may depend on which state, you know.
Yeah, Maine is kind of weird.
Okay. All right. So that one. Yeah, 75% done. I would like to come back.
Yeah, I would love to have you back.
Do a part 2.
Absolutely. We'll make it happen. I will let you do your stuff this afternoon, and I'll hit you up in the next few days, and we can figure out a good time for part 2.
Let's see. What do we have? We've got to show off. How can we show off the piece?
I'm going to crank my lights up here and see.
Let's see.
If I can.
It's really just a lot of the black and the gold, you know, but that's how we do. I'm going to have to retouch all this. See the stonework? We'd have to go in around the gold and put the more of the gray, and then do the stone edge dry brush in the Pokorny paints. You get the stone edge dry brush. Oh my God, it's stone edge dry brush. You know, to read it, but this is the hard part, is to get all in those little holes, and then and that's real sloppy doing that. Now you can just do the dry brushing, and it gets easier. And then this is probably a little harder to do, this part, right?
Yeah, we'll do that part 2.
In part 2, we'll paint this, and this is where we can get a little crazy with the flames.
Yeah.
You might do the flames and stuff, you know.
I've got a pretty fun color picked out for the eye on that.
Yeah, God, we don't want to try this, do we? Oh my God, what is this guy?
I would try it. I love to paint fire.
This would be really hard to paint.
Oh, that is so cool. You tricked me on that one. I didn't realize that lit up.
It does.
That is very neat.
Yeah, and then it like comes to life.
Ooh.
It comes to life. Who knows, when you enter the room or you anger the gods, you got the look at all the gems and the lizards.
That is so neat.
Sassoul. It's the giant Sassoul sculpture that then comes to life and attacks.
That is so cool.
And we didn't see, you know, here we got this was the limited edition, the Jade.
Whoa.
the jade one. You know, and that's transparent. You know, it's sort of it has a transparent jade. I don't know if you can see here, but
Oh yeah, I just caught it when you.
see that?
That is so neat.
See, so in the
Wow.
right color, right moments, you could see it. If it's facing against a window or something, it's got that jade color. Isn't that cool?
That is super cool.
Yeah. All right. Well.
Well, I will let you get going, my friend, and then we can plan a part 2 here coming up. And Paul, Neon Lord, Richard, everyone, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
And Stefan, thank you so much for coming on. And
I recommend this one, the Master's Hand Soap to clean up with. Master's Hands. Get it at fine art stores.
And if you haven't checked it out already, be sure to check out dwarvenforge.com, grab some terrain, grab some Pokorny paints, and have a blast.
Yeah, get some pizza, crank the Black Sabbath, and these are the hard ones to paint. The other walls are a lot easier, you know. And,
all right, folks. Well, Stefan, again, thank you for coming on. And we are going to log off so Stefan can get his plants and grab some lunch. And we will catch you next time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good day, guys.
Everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Dave.